Timeout. Sun.
Looks like she's in pain after that pass.
Success! Please walk from the floor, please, and members of the committee.
Had been dealing most recently with a groin injury.
What started as pure celebration in Boston's TD Garden turned into a nightmare in seconds. The Fever just beat the Sun for their third straight win. Fans erupting in joy when suddenly Caitlin Clark started limping, clutching her groin. The cameras caught her tears streaming down her face on the bench. This wasn't just any injury. This was the same groin that sidelined her before. But here's what makes this even more devastating. The referees allowed the same dangerous physicality that's been targeting her all season long to continue unchecked for Clark and for the rest of the Indiana Fever, and Stephanie White isn't holding back. What bombshell did Stephanie White drop about the WNBA referees? Let's wish Caitlin a speedy recovery in the comments below. Let's go.
No update. Just felt a little something in her groin, so we'll get it evaluated and see what happens from there.
Yeah, just kind of to follow up on that. Looked like she was kind of grabbing at her right groin area. Is that the concern?
Yeah, if that's the one she was grabbing at. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, I mean, that's...
Picture this. TD Garden is absolutely electric, but not for the supposed home team, the Connecticut Sun. The arena sounds like Indianapolis invaded Boston. Fever fans filled every section, chanting for their team like they owned the place. You could hear "Let's Go Fever" echoing through the historic venue. This was supposed to be Connecticut's home court advantage, but it felt like a Fever home game instead. The Fever just dominated the Sun 85-77 for their third straight win. Kelsey Mitchell dropped 20 points, while Natasha Howard grabbed a double-double with 18 points and 13 rebounds. The team looked unstoppable. Their record improved to 12-10, putting them in solid playoff position. Everything was going according to plan until the final minute changed everything.
Right here, she explodes, makes the backdoor pass, and immediately grabs the inside of that right leg. Yeah,
But in the span of seconds, everything changed when Clark grabbed her groin and hit the floor. The play looked routine until Clark suddenly clutched her right groin, grimacing in visible pain. Then she did something that broke hearts everywhere. She hit her head against the basket stanchion in pure frustration.
She walks down to the end of the court. You can tell that she's in pain. You can tell that there's something wrong. She goes to the, what's it called, like stanchion or whatever, the thing that holds up the basketball hoop on the other end. She hits her head on it. She is fighting back tears and she walks straight over to the bench. Now, when she goes over to the bench, she starts crying. And I've honestly never seen Caitlin Clark cry on the court except when she lost the national championship game. She keeps it together no matter what is happening. But you could just tell that something happened on that play. And it was either the pain of it. It was either like, here we go again. It was frustration.
The cameras captured something that will haunt Fever fans. Tears streaming down Clark's face as she sat on that bench. Her expression told the whole story. This wasn't just discomfort or fatigue. This was real pain, and she knew it. The joy from moments before completely vanished from her face. This wasn't just any injury. This was the same groin issue that had already sidelined her before. Clark had already missed 5 games earlier this season due to a left groin injury. Now her right groin was acting up, raising serious concerns about overcompensation and her long-term health.
But right now on the bench, after looking like she is in some pain.
You could feel the entire arena shift from celebration to complete silence in moments. Fever fans who had been cheering loudly suddenly went quiet. The energy completely changed as everyone realized something was seriously wrong with their star player. What made this even more heartbreaking was seeing her teammates' faces. They knew something was seriously wrong. You could see the concern in their eyes as they watched Clark struggle. The celebration stopped immediately as everyone focused on their injured teammate. The medical staff rushed over, but the damage might already be done to Indiana's championship hopes this season. Coach Stephanie White later said Clark felt a little something in her groin and would undergo further evaluation. The WNBA All-Star Game was just days away in Indianapolis, where Clark was scheduled to participate and serve as team captain.
Probably won't get many details about the injury, but it was honestly just so heartbreaking to see because in that moment, she just looked so defeated. And Caitlin Clark is somebody, she hides it really well. And I don't know if hiding it or she handles it is probably the right thing to say. She handles the pressure. She handles all of the media spotlight, the attention, the expectations of how she performs on the court, the expectations of the ratings for her games. She handles all of that so well, and this season has just been so tough for her when it comes to
This injury represents everything wrong with how the league has allowed Clark to be targeted all season long. She had already missed 10 games total due to leg injuries, and now another setback threatened her availability. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back to where this vendetta really started. Let's talk about the game that started this whole mess. June 17th against these same Connecticut Sun players. That day marked a turning point in how opponents treated Caitlin Clark. The physicality crossed every acceptable line in professional basketball.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and JC Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabry comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
JCS Sheldon and Marina Mabry crossed every line that day with an eye poke and body check that shocked the basketball world. Sheldon's finger went straight into Clark's eye during what should have been routine defensive coverage. The contact was deliberate and dangerous. Marina Mabry followed up with a hard body check that sent Clark stumbling backward. These weren't basketball plays. They were targeted attacks. Then Mabry came in with a bump. And Mabry's day is almost assuredly going to be done. So both teams. But here's what the cameras didn't show you. The aftermath and how it set up this revenge game. Incident created lasting tension between these teams. Players remembered exactly what happened that day. The Suns' actions became a rallying point for the entire Fever organization. Sophie Cunningham stepped up that day like a true teammate, getting in the faces of Clark's bullies. She immediately confronted both Sheldon and Ma after their dirty plays. Cunningham made it clear that targeting Clark wouldn't go unanswered. Her protective stance showed the team's solidarity and commitment to defending their star player.
Sophie commits a hard foul on JC Sheldon. Again, as JC Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm going to give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional.
The league barely did anything about those dirty plays, sending a message that targeting Clark was acceptable. The WNBA's disciplinary measures were viewed as insufficient to deter future aggressive behavior. This perceived inaction fueled the sense that Clark wasn't being properly protected by officials or league administrators. Fast forward to this Boston game, and you could see the tension the moment these teams stepped on the court. Players exchanged stares during warm-ups. The atmosphere felt different from a regular season matchup. Everyone knew this game carried extra weight. Clark came into this game with something to prove, playing with an edge we hadn't seen before. She attacked the basket more aggressively. Her passes had extra zip. Every possession seemed personal to her.
Sheldon is going to keep the pressure on Clark. You see Tina Charles with the responsibility of guarding Aaliyah Boston. High hedge on the ball screen on Clark. Inside perfectly. One thing you know about Tina Charles, she has every shot in her arsenal.
Now Sheldon, the height disadvantage against Howard.
Yeah, good recognition.
Every possession felt personal. Every screen a little harder. Every look a little longer. The intensity was obvious to anyone watching. Players bumped each other after dead balls. Referees had to separate players multiple times. This wasn't just basketball anymore. This was payback time. And Clark delivered with her play until that injury struck. But the referees were about to make this personal vendetta even worse with their calls.
Also something where she's never battled injuries in college. She's always been something who has been a very healthy player. And this year it has been quad injury and then another quad injury and then a groin injury and now what seems to be another groin injury. Now, again, you guys, this is all from what we're seeing. We're just putting 2 and 2 together. Nothing has been confirmed, but it seems like she did re-injure her leg on that.
Here's where this story gets really ugly. The referees didn't just miss calls. They actively made things worse. The officiating became so bad that it overshadowed what should have been a celebration of the Fever's 3rd straight victory. Instead of focusing on basketball, everyone was talking about how the refs completely lost control.
There are multiple moments in this game that were so egregiously called, or there was no calls by the referees, and it's getting out of control at this point. And even Caitlin Clark's brother tweeted, "This one is on the refereeing." Like, there are people in Caitlin Clark's family who are starting to call out the referees because of how bad they have.
Breaking point with the constant missed calls and lack of protection. You could see her frustration building with every possession as the referees ignored obvious fouls. The cameras caught her in a heated argument with referee Mike Price, who said something that visibly shook her. During the 3rd quarter, Clark was seen joying at Price as she headed back to the bench. "I'm not a good lip reader. I'm trying. I got it." And that was Ryan January, who has played 9 years in Indiana and now on the staff, and that's a live shot now of Caitlin Clark. He's still upset and wants an explanation from Michael Price. And maybe at the timing of when that challenge happened, Aaliyah Boston got slapped right in the face with no call, while Sophie Cunningham took an elbow to the back that went completely ignored. Tina Charles appeared to slap Boston directly in the face. Yet the referees didn't even review the play. A common foul was called instead of a flagrant foul, which shocked everyone watching.
I'm not a good lip reader. I'm trying.
I got it. And that was Ryan January, who is played 9 years in Indiana and now on the staff. And that's a live shot now of Caitlin Clark. He's still upset and wants an explanation from Michael Price.
And maybe at the timing of when that challenge happens.
Meanwhile, Cunningham was elbowed in the head with no foul called at all, drawing disbelief from commentators and fans.
And this was probably the worst one of them all. This is Aaliyah Boston and Tina Charles, and they are battling in the post. And then you can see Tina Charles just kind of swims around and then throws Aaliyah Boston to the ground, like punches down on her. And she's on the ground, and that was not called a flagrant one. That was called literally a common foul, you guys. Hands up at this point. Like, I don't even know what the players can do because the players aren't being.
You could see the frustration building on every Fever player's face as the game went on. The missed calls weren't just affecting Clark anymore. The entire team was getting hammered with no consequences for their opponents. Players were looking at each other in disbelief after every missed call. This isn't just one bad game. Referees have been allowing extra physicality against Clark all season long. The broadcast commentators highlighted a compilation of uncalled fouls against Clark throughout the season. This pattern of ignoring physical play directed at her has become a major point of contention.
I want to show you another play with Sophie Cunningham. So this one, she actually quote tweeted herself. As you can see, she's running up and then Hartley kind of elbows her in the neck and Sophie falls to the ground. Now she reposted this and she said, "They said I flopped, LOL." So I guess the referees told her that she flopped on that play, or the players, who knows. Somebody told her that she flopped on that play.
Other star players get protected, but Clark gets hammered possession after possession with no consequences. The level of physicality allowed against her is different from what other marquee players face. She takes hits that would draw immediate fouls if they happen to other stars. The pattern is so obvious that even casual fans are starting to notice the bias. The poor officiating was so bad that commentators and analysts agreed it was one of the worst performances they had seen. The referees were making the game about themselves instead of letting the players play. What Clark said to that referee during their argument reveals just how Fed up she's become with this treatment. Her words showed months of pent-up frustration finally boiling over. Even her brother Colin took to social media tweeting, "Make no mistake, this is on the referees," highlighting the perceived lack of protection for Clark. But it was Stephanie White's post-game comments that really exposed what's been happening behind the scenes.
Been so many things, so many players calling out the referees, so many players calling out the physicality, so many players getting injured this season, from superstars to players on the bench, from season-ending injuries to rib injuries to concussions. There have been just so many things, and it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. This is a nationally televised game on ESPN, and it just doesn't get better.
Stephanie White walked into that post-game interview ready for war. And she didn't hold back one bit. Her face showed the frustration that had been building all season long. When reporters asked about Clark's injury, White's response was brief, but loaded with meaning. She said no update, just felt a little something in her
What is
groin.
your description of kind of the physical battle that Caitlin particularly faces, maybe within tonight's game or just in general as you've gotten used to coaching her, just what you see she's enduring physically?
Are you trying to get me fined again?
Her scathing comments about the referees revealed a systemic problem that goes way deeper than just bad calls. White didn't dance around the issue of physicality against Clark. She told reporters straight up, "I knew it as an opponent, and I see it as her coach." That statement hit different coming from someone who had coached against Clark before joining the Fever. White understood both sides of this situation. The coach's next words were even more telling. She added, "I'm not exactly sure why, but it is what it is." That phrase revealed everything. White couldn't understand why Clark was being targeted like this. Her resignation showed how helpless coaches feel when referees won't protect their players. White also dropped a bombshell about the league's overall direction. She noted that the level of physicality in the league has been at a different level than it's been for a long time. This wasn't just about one game or one player anymore. The entire WNBA was becoming more physical, and star players were paying the price.
I mean, there's a level of physicality that they're able to play with against her. I knew it as an opponent, and I see it as her coach. I'm not exactly sure why, but it just is what it is. And we've got to help her learn to adjust and use it against them in certain ways. We've got to find some ways to make it a little bit easier for her. But the level of physicality overall in our league has been at a different level than it's been for a long time.
White's words confirmed what Fever fans have been screaming about all season. The league is failing to protect their biggest star, and now she might be seriously hurt because of it. Her comments validated every frustrated fan who had watched Clark get hammered game after game. The coach was saying what everyone already knew, but officials refused to acknowledge. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about whether Clark